Sir Jaime, even in soiled pink satin and torn lace, Brienne looked more like a man in a gown than a proper woman. I am grateful, but you were well away. Why come back? A dozen quips came to mind, each crueler than the one before, but Jaime only shrugged. I dreamed of you. We're going to talk about Brienne's story as opposed to her character and her heart-clenching dynamic with Jaime. Last video I said I was surprised that the originally titled Pixar film The Bear and the Bow is not a retelling of an old tale. But if you recall, there's another story about a girl finding her way, hopping from one seat to another, and being threatened by some bears. As surprising as it is, Brienne and Jaime, to an extent, parallel the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Like many stories, the first origins of Goldilocks and the Three Bears are unclear, but the first supposedly written form of the story was done by poet Robert Southey in 1837, and the version we have now, with a little girl specifically named Goldilocks, entering the home of a family of three bears, can be attributed to Flora Annie Steele in the 1918 collection of stories titled English Fairy Tales. Once upon a time, a little girl is wandering through the woods and comes across a cottage. She enters, there's no one inside, and she's hungry and tired. First, she tasted the porridge of the great big bear, and that was too hot for her. Next, she tasted the porridge of the middle-sized bear, but that was too cold for her. And then when she went to the porridge of the little wee bear and tasted it, that was neither too hot nor too cold, but just right, and she liked it so well that she ate it all up, every bit. And this repeats when she tries out the chairs and the beds. The three bears come home to find her sleeping in the baby bear's bed. So naughty, frightened little Goldilocks jumped, and whether she broke her neck in the fall, or ran into the wood and was lost there, or found her way out of the wood and got whipped for being a bad girl and playing truant, no one can say, but the three bears never saw anything more of her. Now, lots of people might be confused. Brienne isn't naughty, she's honorable, almost to a fault, and very much exhibits all the qualities a knight should have. She wouldn't break into someone's home, eat all their food, or sleep in their beds. Except she kinda does.
Did he? Haven't heard that story before.
Not such a fascinating story, I'm afraid.
I'm sure you have many fascinating stories. Sworn to Renly Baratheon, sworn to Catelyn Stark, and now my brother. Must be exciting to flit from one camp to the next, serving whichever lord or lady you fancy.
I don't serve your brother, your grace.
But you love him.
This reminds me of Goldilocks moving from one bowl of porridge to another, but instead of them being too hot or cold, Brienne's all, well, Renly is too dead and gay, Catelyn is also too dead, but Jaime is just right. In Brienne's defense, it is 1,000,000% not her fault the people she serves keep dying. Another piece of evidence for my Brienne and Jaime Goldilocks idea is the song The Bear and the Maiden Fair, and the abuse Brienne faces at Harrenhal after Jaime is freed. So, the song The Bear and the Maiden Fair is about a beautiful blonde woman with honey in her hair, attending some kind of festival or fair or ball. She wants a prince to come and save her, but instead a big ugly bear comes to save her. At first she protests, but the song ends with her referring to him as my bear. She kicked and wailed the maid so fair, but he licked the honey from her hair, her hair, her hair, he licked the honey from her hair. Then she sighed and squealed and kicked the air. My bear, she sang, my bear so fair, and off they went from there to there, the bear, and the maiden fair. The song kinda plays out like a Beauty and the Beast story, which is interesting as there are many readers who enjoy Brienne and Jaime's arc as a kind of reversed Beauty and the Beast story, in which Brienne is the Beast and Jaime is the Beauty, except Jaime is still actually the Beast because of his inside character, and Brienne is the Beauty because she's literally called Brienne the Beauty. Fun fact, Beauty and the Beast and Goldilocks both derive from an old Scottish story simply called The Bear, in which an evil king wants to marry his daughter because she's the only woman as beautiful as her late mother, so he traps her in the castle until a hunter who loves her brings her a bearskin and she hides inside, and the king unwittingly chases her out of the castle. Anyways, so the dicks at Harrenhal lock Brienne in a bear pit and are all singing The Bear in the Maiden Fair. It's supposed to be ironic, I guess. In the song, the maiden asks for a knight but gets a bear. But in the actual story, our fair, beautiful Brienne, the maiden, has the bear in the pit with her, but is actually saved by the handsome knight, Jaime. But because of her connection to Jaime, Brienne has to face terrifying consequences when Catelyn returns as Lady Stoneheart, just like Goldilocks. Brienne's new choices are sword or rope, i.e. be hanged by Lady Stoneheart for being a traitor and serving Jaime Lannister, or bring Jaime Lannister to Lady Stoneheart where he'll face punishment for the Red Wedding. Which, it wasn't him, it was Tywin, but Catelyn doesn't know that, and one of the last things she heard before dying was Roose Bolton saying Jaime Lannister sends his regards. So, This ties back to Goldilocks as well, because the Red Wedding is an abomination specifically because it's a betrayal of guest right, the tradition that being offered food beneath someone's roof guarantees you safety. Brienne also should have technically been granted guest right at Harrenhal, but she was still thrown into the bear pit. And Goldilocks eats beneath the home of the three bears and sleeps in their beds, and you can view that as guest right, but they didn't invite her in, she invited herself. Jaime is also someone with golden hair, and as we just reviewed, is associated with the breaking of guest right, at least in Catelyn's eyes. So now Brienne has to choose between two extreme options, which make it very difficult for her to be an honorable knight. Either she and Podrick, an innocent young boy, are hanged, or she basically sentences the man she loves to die. Brienne and Jaime's relationship and the extreme paths on their different sides is, in my opinion, an example of the Goldilocks Principle, the idea that the way forward lies in finding an exact middle path between opposites is of an extraordinary importance in storytelling. This is something George seems to be very familiar with, as there are very few clear-cut heroes and villains of the story. Most of them have moments where they can be both, and when the characters choose a path of pure good or a path of pure evil, like Ned, who was frustratingly rigid, their stories come to a close, they don't move forward. Right now, it's clear that Brienne is trapped, and her Goldilocks story needs a path that's not too violent and not too lenient in order for her and Jaime to have something resembling a happy ending. I know, if you think this story has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. Well, maybe I have been paying attention, but maybe I just think Brienne is one of the only lawful good characters in the story, and I truly believe that she suffered enough and deserves a happy ending. I know it will never happen, I just want her to have the knowledge that she is loved and worthy of love, before she hopefully dies a hero's death. Thank you so much for watching, I hope the wait was worth it. Please subscribe to my channel for more overreading of A Song of Ice and Fire, and comment which character you'd like to see me analyze next.